All right. This is a report for Tim McFarland for process management and control under the direction of Daryl Cunningham. This is my slideshow report for digital twins. All right. Without further hesitation, away we go. All right. This will show you in visual and text wise just what digital twins are and what they're used for and who uses them. All right, for starters, what is a digital twin? Well, here's the first definition of one. Here's the second definition. And here's the third definition. As you can see, they're basically virtual replicas. Try not to read too much. But they basically make up, well, actually, to put it even clearer, they're basically a virtual prototype. If you want to do a prototype of something and you don't want to spend a bunch of money to build one, if you don't have the time to build one, but you have the time to design one on a computer, there you go. Now, there you go. That's basically what digital twins are. That way, when you've done a simulation, a digital or a digital simulation, what you're trying to get across to your company, or as some would say, a digital prototype, they can see that digital simulation and they can edit as they please. They can say, oh, okay, well, yeah, this was okay, but now take this away. Now take this away. We don't like this. Or how about you add this? This sounds better. And if you have a digital simulation or a digital prototype, that's going to be so much easier just to edit it and redo it on the computer than what you would have a physical prototype. That makes it so much easier. All right, and show you here's an example, picture wise. This is an example of a jet airliner. And it's not just used, as you can see, it's not just used as a digital prototype. You can also use them for digital simulations. Digital simulations, digital measurements, and they can become what you would expect from your real life production model and what you would expect of it. All right, now, what are the various types? Actually, there's 4 in all, and they are as follows. 1, 2, 3, and last but not least, 4. What the first one does, here's what the second one does, here's what the third one does. And here's what the fourth one does. All right, and now here's some pictorial examples of the four different types of digital twins and what they look like, or what their design in pictures are supposed to look like. Now, there are two different types of simulations, or there are two different types of virtual or prototypes that you have when conducting a simulation or a visual example of what you want to display physically. Now, you have digital twins and you have a simulation. Don't mistake former for the latter, because there are so many things you can do with digital twins you can't do with simulations. And here are some different examples. First one, and here's the second one. As you can see, simulations don't do nearly as much as digital twins do. You can only get as you can see, you can only get a limited amount of information with the simulation, whereas you can get several amounts from two-way flows to several amounts of information from digital twins. Now, here's a following. Not convinced, here's an example of a pictorial simulation. Digital twin versus a regular simulation. As you can see, here's a simulation, and you can only really use it, or you can only exchange data once. In digital twin, you can see that the data is continuous, and it continues to exchange between both your digital and your physical. Now, what are the applications, or what are some of the examples? Well, here we go. Here are the following. Here's one. Here's one you probably would have expected. There's one that I didn't expect, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. As well as this, and this, and this is probably one of the most legit examples. And here's one as well. Because let's face it, when it comes to this, you know, what would you rather do? Try and build a physical prototype or a simulated prototype in AutoCAD or SDS2 or something like, or a CAD software like that, and show to your bosses and discover whether they like it or not. If they do, and they want to improve or take away something, you can always, like I said, you can always go and change it easily in the computer. Whereas if you have a physical simulation, that's going to be a little harder. All right. Now, here's one that I never thought I would see in my life, a company or an application that uses digital twins. I'm sorry, but I just got to read that because it's true. I never expected this, or this, or this. Now, this I kind of expected, as well as this. That's very obvious. Um, this was kind of expected, as well as this. You can see a lot of that in the airliner industry or the automotive industry, and especially this, as well as this. And here's something I definitely didn't expect. But seeing as it's becoming more popular, I should have. All right. Now let's look at some of the corporations or the businesses that use this. And some of them might surprise you. There's one being a part of the, excuse me, being a part of the instrumentation and electrical era, or the electrical part, like I am. That shouldn't surprise you. And that shouldn't surprise you either. Or that. They even have their own program. There's another one, as well as this, as well as this. And here's a familiar face, especially to those of us who work with PLCs and other equipment like it. There's another one, as well as another one. Here you go. And now here is where it gets interesting, because the more I thought about it, the more sense it makes. If you're still working on a house, but you have a good idea of what it's going to be like, why endanger your clients and take them on the physical tour when you can take them on a virtual tour? All right. Here you go. Here's a few more companies. These deal with, like I said, virtual tours. I wondered if that's Revit. It probably is, or it's a type of, or if it's definitely a type of 3D architectural design software. And here's another one. They deal with wind generators and wind powered systems. Now, this isn't just a passing thing, it's expanding. Here's a few examples picture wise. Most of these are what we've mentioned before, but here's a visual example of what you can expect. All right. All right. And as they increase, more people want them, especially companies. As you can see, it's not going to go away. They're very versatile. They're extremely effective, much more than we had originally thought. And when you get down to it, it's not too surprising. They're not going anywhere, which is a good thing. The more people, the more corporations realize this and start to use them, the more they realize just how much of a valuable asset digital twins really are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. For process management, for ATD, I'm Tim McFarland. As I said, very much